Man will always fail you, keep your eyes on Jehovah. I'm saying great, I'm trying to push my brother's talented tenth. That service for the good of others. Some know a lot, say a lot with no application. Success is mistress, his procrastination. Greatness is like Bach on the keys. Ali in the ring like King having a dream. It's like Mueller on his knees. Tolstoy with a pen, the Messiah without sin.
Hello faith, goodbye doubt. I'm in greatness on my way out, and I'll give up. Hello faith, goodbye doubt. I'm in greatness on my way out, and I'll give up. I'm trying to be great, and I'm on my way up. It's never too late.
Yeah.
And I found my way.
I'ma leave my mark. Ready, set, go. Ready, set, go. Ready, set.
Welcome to the Starting Over podcast. I am your host, Edward Shelton, aka Dark Logos, and this is where we look at the strategies, tactics, and mechanics behind the game of Heroclix. I've had a pretty interesting weekend. I can say that for sure. I had my first chance to play Brother Voodoo. Learned some great advantages with him. Learned some pretty strong weaknesses. And had an interesting time. First tournament, I ended up playing a team that I got to keep under wraps right now, just due to, just for respecting a particular person. They had a team idea for a 300-point team. I played it and found that it worked out pretty good. The biggest weakness is stealth. Stealth hurt Brother Voodoo. Definitely when those stealth figures can charge flurry you, a la No Man's Land Batgirl. Yeah. So, had a good time. Saturday I ended up playing a game in which we were able to swap teams, and every game I ended up swapping my team with my opponent. So I didn't get to play him all day, but played against him. So that was very entertaining, to say the least. And just noticing, I was the only one that brought Brother Voodoo, but I did play against some zombie. I played with some zombies and Dracula, and a couple other figures I would have normally played with. So I have been expanded in my mind after this weekend. So pretty much had good times. So, all right, we're gonna just go into today's topic, and today's topic is interesting, mainly because this is a listener inspired show. So big up to Robert Hayes for giving me the show idea. Pretty much, he was saying, "Hey man, what are the figures that we should be looking out for down the road? Figures that have the potential to come up." And so that's what this show is going to be about. Now, note, it's not definitive. It never will be. Okay, I want that to be clear, because I can't see the future, and as much propheticness as I would like to have in my mind's eye and spiritual goodness, I can't tell you what figures are going to be definitively game breaking, 6 months from now. Okay. But what I can sort of say is look at the figures that we have. Okay. And look at what they do and ask yourself what's really missing. And usually it's those little things, that make a figure going from okay to great. So let's really get into it. First figure I want us to look at is going back to Incredible Hulk. Over a year old. The more the sets come out, the more I can glean from Incredible Hulk. And I want us to look at Bruce Banner. Bruce Banner is good, and I'm talking about number 2 Bruce Banner, is good for a particular reason. Bomb science. Bruce Banner can use energy explosion. Bruce Banner and adjacent friendly characters deal 1 additional damage to the targets of their attacks while using energy explosion, if not already modified by this effect. What this means is, first off, people overlook this, that Bruce Banner himself can use energy explosion for 2 damage. The next thing is that Bruce Banner makes all your multi-target energy exploders, which we're getting a lot more of, do more damage. Unfortunately, the effect doesn't stack, but if we find another character that does what Bruce Banner does in the future, guess what, man? Strap 2 of those, Bruce Banner and that future figure together, and you're doing energy explosion for 3 damage, which is excellent. So just sort of keep that in mind. He's a great figure. He also can turn into, Ozzy Hulk. And a lot of people think I'm saying like Ozzy, A-Z-Z-Y, but it should be Aussie, like an Australian. So, but anyway, another figure that I feel that with the transition to hello, I am support and I also am an attacker, figure is Black Tarantula. I know he doesn't have Indom. Ooh, apostasy. But running shot, 6 range, 3 damage, being able to put the hand TA on him. And just think about this. You would have a medic, every other click, that is able to hide from ranged fire. So that has its advantages. So just think about that while you're looking at Black Tarantula. Another figure that I wish was going to come up, but I know it's not, is Jigsaw. I just know he's not. 35 points. His trait is each scar is a reminder. Jigsaw can't be healed. Each time Jigsaw takes damage, place a number of scar tokens on this card equal to damage taken. Before Jigsaw makes an attack roll, you may remove any number of scar tokens and choose 1. Modify his attack value by +1 for each scar token removed, or modify his damage value by +1 for every 2 scar tokens removed. So I wish that he would be a great piece that people would remember, but he won't. Just in all honesty, 5 clicks deep, 35 points. Not a lot of people are going to remember him. So anyway, the other one that I think that I hate to say this, is with all this poison that's running around that people are just going to straight up forget about, is General Thunderbolt Ross. Now, you have the Airstrike Ross, and this is the standard 42-point Ross. The Hulkbuster Intelligentsia Soldier Ross from the main set, number 29. Now, why is he something to think about? Well, yes, you can mastermind some damage to him, and then voila, poof, he can turn into Red Hulk. But yes, that Red Hulk AE click that he has into, the Red Hulk with 2 clicks, leap, climb, and then the hotter and hotter Red Hulk can use poison. When he does, he deals 2 damage to adjacent opposing characters and 1 damage to non-adjacent opposing characters within 2 squares in line of fire. So right there, in with invulnerability on those 2 clicks, 3 damage. That's good money. Now, I know a lot of folks have forgotten about Thunder Airstrike Ross and the Red Hulk that he can turn into, which does just normal poison, but you get lower defense values and flurry, and you get to make ranged attacks. A range value of 4 is not that great, but still, those are some figures for people to keep in their mind. Sort of going a bit further back. Another figure that I think that is also going to be quite interesting, for amusement's sake, is Nightshade from Captain America set. And the main reason I'm saying Nightshade is just for the pure fact of we've moved into this ground war. And I think there's a lot of figures that have come out that just have charge and low damage that you're able to really benefit by having Nightshade on. So Werewolf Serum. At the beginning of your turn, you may choose an adjacent character, and that can be friendly or opposing, mind you. That character can use Blaze Claw's Fangs and possesses Battle Fury, but can't attack Nightshade. Okay? So it doesn't matter if you're, they can't be mind controlled. This character can't attack Nightshade, so your opponent can't go back and blade you. Okay? But if you do put it on your own guy, you can get Blaze Claw's Fangs. Anyway, when rolling a d6 for Blaze Claw's Fangs, the chosen character subtracts 1 from the result, minimum 1. These effects last until your next turn, even its power is countered. So you're pretty much guaranteed to make sure that a character cannot be mind controlled and that they can get Blaze Claw's Fangs. And in an era of Dr. Voodoo freaking running around mind controlling your entire team, it is sort of nice to know, like, if you're just trying to get a character in a position that you can get some level of protection. Yes, I know you can't do a ranged attack, but if you're just going to be moving, then it doesn't matter. So, yeah, definitely Nightshade. This is going to be if you pull her out, your opponent's going to think you're stupid, but for the pure fact that you can get Battle Fury, and if Brother Voodoo's on the other end of the field, then you're going to definitely going to be glad that you picked up Nightshade. 72 points is a little bit high, which makes me really hesitant to say, like, oh, this figure's on the come up. But the more people complain about Brother Voodoo, the more these creative options come into play. And I would say you're probably not going to hear this on AC Realms because the conversation level has gone down. Yeah, that's the best way to put it. All right, another one that I want you to think about is Hell Hydra. That Hydra isn't really dead. That Hydra actually, with all this Batman, I really should have thought about this earlier, but I didn't. Go into Captain America set, and you look at Viper, number 26 Viper. Shape change, poison, stealth. You gotta understand, once Superman came out, Poison just died the hard one because you had all that damage reduction. Same thing with Incredible Hulk, Galactic Guardians. Avengers movie is starting to soften up. Dark Knight Rises is when we actually saw, oh man, we can probably poison some figures. Chaos War, not so much. We got a little hope here in Justice League, a little bit, but not really like the big damage dealers. Then, Marvel and DC 10th, and we're like, hey, yeah, I get you off those top dials, clicks, and then, yeah, you're subjected to poison. Then Batman and Streets of Gotham came out, and poison became your daddy. Okay, so Viper actually can do good. And there's another figure, I forgot his name. Pretty much all he does is make it so that all your Hydra people can have Mastermind, or your highest point Hydra person has Mastermind. I can't remember who it is right now. But if you can get enough of your Hydra agents to go storm a castle, you can do some pretty good stuff with that Viper. Okay? So those are some characters that they're older, and I'm thinking like, yeah, you should really consider them. Just for your general team building. Also, I hate to say that this character's on the come up because it's sort of sat at the apex of the meta for a long time. But how we pay for Perplex has changed. Really, there's two of them. The first is Rick Jones. If you're not playing Rick Jones, I mean, now and then, that really tells you how people forget about things. That Rick Jones can turn into, well, I was going to say 3 very solid options, but it's really 2 very solid options. Let's not kid ourselves, all right? Abomination. A-bomb is an abomination, okay? But being able to be Captain Marvel or be his son is very good options to have. I'm really good options to have. I hate to say it like this, But between Guinnessville and Captain Marvel, Guinnessville is so far better. His little crazy power, it can be awesome or it can be suck. It's all up to you. Um, so that's that's up to your consideration. Okay. But definitely look at Rick Jones. The second one, just because there's so much mystics. Oh my gosh, pick Cypher. Pick Cypher and just piss off your opponents. So I think that those characters in particular are going to be excellent. So anyway, one thing that I know I sort of just geek on Gainesville and I also geek a little bit on Cypher, but definitely with all the mystics, Cypher can do ridiculous amounts of harm to your opponent's team, and forces them to just come in and come at you, bro, for lack of a better internet meme. So just sort of thinking, just take time to think about that. I know that pretty much GSX, the Green Lantern stuff, DC 75th, all that stuff is going to be retired. All that stuff is we know is probably going to be out. Next Gen Con. It's probably going to be Superman on. But I really want you to think about that. Another character that, speaking of Superman, another character I think that sort of is coming into her all a little bit is Silver Banshee. And Silver Banshee for a couple of reasons. First off, Silver Banshee is 8 clicks deep, which is above average for most characters. Next thing is, no matter what, she has some way of doing penetrating damage. Her special power, Wail the Banshee, Silver Banshee can use Incapacitate as if she possesses 3 targets. When she uses it, after actions resolve, deal damage to each hit character equal to the number of action tokens on them. So pretty much after Incap is done, then you do damage. Pretty much this is Zeron the Tester on another character, pretty much. Well, his Incap, that is. Same thing. So when you look at Silver Banshee, the one thing that I can say, the main reason she comes into her own right now is for the following. The utility belt makes her exponentially better. Exponentially better. Okay. Let's look at this. She can copy any team ability, so if she wants to, she can copy Power Cosmic with the scanner, okay? Or she could copy Batman TA. She already has Mystic, so she doesn't have to copy that. The next thing that's interesting with the utility belt is that once she gets on +2 stats, you can pick Super Senses to get you back to prep time versus, or if you want Outwit or anything else, you can do that too. But running shot, 13 attack, 5 damage, pulse wave with pretty much like a 7 movement and you could say 6 radius. That's hard to get away from. That's a really, really hard radius to get away from. So right there, you should be able to figure out like, oh yeah, this is definitely really good. And so if you look at the opening movement, you have 10 movement, so 5 plus 7, so that's 7 right there. You have 8 range, which would be 4, plus 2, which would be 6 range all around, which would give you a 13 sort of swing. That's and I know you're saying like yeah you can get a good swing with the utility belt, but definitely with Silver Banshee you have your options. With your Incap you can have triple target with just imagine triple target Incap with a 13 attack, and then you can do damage afterward. So those are some things to really think on. Another one that's sort of been forgotten, which is a bit surprising, is Sunboy. Sunboy is one of those figures that with you having the option of either having Psychic Blast or Pulse Wave, there are very few teams that can deal with you. Just straight up, running shot and Pulse Wave and Psychic Blast, just bam. Oh, do you want to try to get me again? Okay, I can copy whatever team ability I need. And with so much Batman that's accessible, you can put a cheap Batman family figure on there and have a really good time, or team up with the Bat Cycle. Everybody loves the Bat Cycle. Speaking of which, I have one now, and the Batman that came with it, so I'm a little bit happy. So think about that, Sunboy. This one's more for fun for me, Element Woman. I believe Element Woman from that Superman set can be very, very interesting. Definitely with plasticity and poison. I thought she was a good figure before. Definitely now she can hold her own a little bit. Her main goal is just to survive, take too much damage, run away, and then come back later. So that's how I see her. One figure I wish that was on the come up was Brainiac 5, but we've had crappy luck on Legion of Superheroes, and I don't think it's going to be that good in Teen Titans, in all honesty. So, anywho, as we progress, down the line, and I want to try to keep it modern age, and the main reason I want to keep it modern age is because most of the games that you're going to play are modern age, and anything that you pull from golden age at this point in time, yeah, there's some stuff there that trumps a lot of what we're dealing with in the era of support, a la Chief or Dawnstar. It's a lot of good stuff in Golden Age. So let's look at something a little bit closer to home, but not quite. Last summer's hotness, Chaos War. People have forgotten about Wasp, not the Hank Pym Wasp, but Wasp, female Wasp, and I think that is a bit sad considering all that she can do. Another figure that I think is interesting for us to sort of re-examine is Baron Zemo. Since we have and Baron Zemo from Chaos War, we have gotten a lot of Thunderbolts and a lot of Masters of Evil. So the pure fact that he has leadership and mastermind and willpower and able to take tokens off of characters, he can be a very, very beneficial part of your war machine. And then also being able to say, hey, guess what? I need this Masters of Evil character to be able to use Thunderbolts. So he's really good just overall for high point games if you want to do a big Masters of Evil team. And I've done it several times with that Ultron from the Gravity Feed. I've had a lot of fun with that Ultron. No dark puns or innuendos intended with that, people. Just letting you know. All right. The last figure I sort of feel that's on the come up from this set, and it's a little bit, hey, I could pay attention to her a little bit, but not as much as she should be getting, is Tigra. I was going to say Crystal, but I have to go back on that. Crystal, we have a lot of cheap Psychic Blast running around. She's still good, but I think Tigra definitely is in the alpha sphere now. And you might say, what, Tigra, how is that? Okay, let's look at all her keywords and all that really works out with the teams now. Animal. Oh my gosh, we have an animal ATA. And Alalosha Craven doing all that coolness to allow my animals to move. Yay. Avengers. That's enough said right there for all the ATAs you can get and all the teams you can build. Lady Liberators, meh, okay. Mystical. Yes, Tigra can be Sorcerer Supreme. Think about that, or it would be Sorcerer Supreme. Then New Warriors, which I don't know when she was in New Warriors, but okay, New Warriors. And guess what? Police. So Tigra's part of the Popo, and she is hanging out with Lieutenant Gordon and your cop car. I mean, you don't even need to go any further, but she also gets Charge Flurry mid dial, and she has Blaze Claw's Fangs, which pretty much makes sure it's between a 2 and a 5. I, I mean, what more could you really want? Um, really, the potential, the damage potential that she has for such cheap points, and as many combinations that she has or can be on a team is pretty good. And if you also look at it like this, all right, you're paying 57 points, she's 6 clicks, you're paying less than 10 points a click for set Blaze Claw's Fangs, for Charge Flurry, for Charge up front. You pretty much have 4 clicks of Charge if you really want to look at it bluntly. 2 clicks of Leap Climb so you can run back to your medic, and Free Move when you just basically move. Although not Free Move, but it doesn't count against your action token. So, all in all, Tigra. And trust me, that assessment is even shocking my own brain, but I can't really come up against it. We really do have to be mindful of that. Moving on, going on to the Justice League set, there's a lot of good stuff from Justice League that I just hate to say it. It just got overshadowed like a solar eclipse from the 10th anniversary stuff. And so a lot of the stuff outside of the Wonder Woman tech from the Fast Forces and, a few other characters are people haven't thought about them. So I like to, have us go look back at some things. First, let's look at the Fast Forces. The Fast Forces Green Lantern, 100 points, Green Lantern TA. After, wow, I hate to say it, after the Green Lantern set gets retired, your Green Lantern carrying options are going to be limited to, let's see here, Batman set, the Batman Green Lantern Chase, Green Lantern Batman, the Fast Forces from Justice League Green Lantern, and that is it. Yep, your Green Lantern taxi, if as of right now, is limited to just this guy. 100 points for willpower and Green Lantern TA, and 18 defense and TK and sharpshooter, and no special powers, no traits, which I don't know. I think you get like bonus stats for that now, and a plaque on the wall. So, Justice League keyword, Green Lantern Corp keyword, Coast City keyword, a lot of goodness right there. The next character that I think that it's a bit overlooked is that Batman from that Fast Forces. Just for the fact that he's just able to stand out in the middle of nowhere and not get shot. Yeah, the avoid detection when it's not your turn. Lines of fire drawn to Batman are blocked unless a friendly character has taken damage this turn. Yeah, just for the pure fact that he can just stand wherever he wants to stand until your allies take damage. It's just good. Now the question comes in is how are you going to abuse that? Considering the fact that a lot of figures have a lot of mobility and a lot of good damage, yeah, you're looking at not being targeted, maybe 1 or 2 attacks. So that's something to consider. Another thing that's interesting is that he can get beat up all day and he still can avoid detection. Because it does say when friendly character. Oh, never mind. It says when block unless a friendly character. Well, that includes himself. So never mind. Looking at the Justice League set, I know we always look at Enchantress. I have bigged up Cyborg so much from that set, and very few people look at me. If you go to the blog, you will see that I used him for my Black History Month team. Run a shot, Pulse Wave, son, in your face, in your face. Now, one I think that could be back on the come up is Mind Warp. Now, here's why. Once GSX retires, I think he's going to be some of the cheapest prob in the game. Now, you're only really just getting prob off of him. Then you get Time Slide, which Mind Warp can use super senses once per turn when Mind Warp has no action tokens. If he can draw a line of fire to both the target of an attack and the attacker, the target may use super senses if it's a friendly character. If the target evades the attack and by this use of super senses, place Mind Warp in a square adjacent to the target. So, Mind Warp giving your friendly ally super senses and then giving you a free sort of placement is sort of cool. So I think as support goes now, is he the best option? No. Does he really solve for a charge flurry situation? Most likely not. But overall, just being able to have super senses in a prob is pretty cool. I don't need to talk about Madame Xanadu. I've done so many broke things with her and told you all about them and with those exploits that you don't even need to hear me talk about another 5 minutes, let alone 15 on her. Now, as we look at 10th anniversary, I know a lot of people are going to sort of yawn and say there's really nothing that has elevated itself lately out of that set, and I am partial to agree and disagree. There's nothing like game breaking that you're like, oh my gosh, did you check that out? But there are some elements that are quite interesting. If you go back a couple of, I think last month, I ended up putting up on the blog about characters that are able to kill a cop car with the utility belt. And Captain America, #1 from that set, is one of them. To do that charge flurry goodness, also, he has leadership. You need 1 perplex on his damage, and then he can pretty much kill a cop car after charge and flurry. Another character that not too many people talk about, really, is Green Goblin, #4. You would think that with all the Spider-Man villains that's come out, that Green Goblin would be the talk of the town. But he's not. Energy explosion on click 2, 3, and 4 with 2 targets. So yes, you can definitely see why Bruce Banner is on the come up as well. Next up, I would say one of those really good hidden gems is that Magneto, #15, not the other crappy Magneto with the disco globe of electricity around him. I still don't see people play him. I still don't hear people talk about him. 113 points of just super goodness. Another thing is I don't hear people talking about #16 Thor either. For 120 points, 11 attack, 4 damage. Slap a utility belt on him and call him, Son of Thunder. I mean, really, like, running shot, 10 range, 6 damage. I guess that's worth ignoring. Oh, and Avengers Initiative. I know. He does not have the Avengers keyword, but he has Avengers Initiative. That makes no sense. Yes, I understand. I'm right there with you. And yes, you're probably never going to promote him because what you can promote him to is like utter crap. I hate to say that. It is just utter crap. Oh, look, I get worse stats than what I had before. Call me Alan Scott, Green Lantern. Okay, so now I've gotten that out of my system. I know some people are going to say, like, what about the chases? I think just right now, the scroll game, no one's really paying attention to the scroll game, and we haven't had a real reason to come back and look at it. So if anybody develops anything out of that, let me know. I'm not saying that's bad. I'm just saying right now, that's not where our heads are at. And that might be a good thing, and that might be a bad thing. If you do like the scrolls, go back, get that scroll Black Bolt, mess with people with that scroll TA. But, man, Uh, Gotta be honest, that Batman utility belt messing up everybody's team abilities. Everybody's team abilities. All the team abilities. Going on to other characters that I think that are on the come up. Um, just for the pure fact that we're in this poison thinking meta, that Lex Luthor number 13, uh, 2 clicks of poison, mastermind, possibility of doing some sort of lamp goodness eventually. But in all honesty, I think if you're hoping to promote into the other Lex Luthor, I really, really, really wish it so said that when he deals damage, that you can add a token, but it's from an attack. So that sucks. Well, actually says when Lex Luthor hits one or more opposing characters, you don't hit anybody with poison. But he can just slap people, so he doesn't have to do damage. So he can be like, "Get out of here," by trying to smack him in the ear. So anyway, that's pretty much it. Everything else from DC 10s, everybody, I see that stuff so much. I hear people talk about it so much. So going on, Nightwing from the Batman Fast Forces. I think that he's going to have some longevity, just mainly when it comes to Colossals. Like if you play, oh gosh, when you play him with the Colossal, I know Madame Xanadu is BS. Nightwing is even more BS. Okay, and if you have a person that's just decided, I'm going to sit in the back and I'm going to charge the gauntlet, Nightwing is your figure to have. Because no matter what, it's like, I can just take tokens off of you. And I'm taking tokens. And guess what? That other person that's coming, I outsiders them so they don't get stat modification. So that is another advantage for you to think about. No one talks about that Alfred, 25-point Alfred. Hey, guess what? I heal you. And I can up your defense. Yet that's not noteworthy for some apparent reason. I don't know. Moving on to the Batman set. I would think people would talk about Aaron Cash. Just for the pure fact that if you can carry this guy and do a charge flurry, you could get a +1, to your attack value. Give Aaron Cash a free action and modify the attack value of an adjacent friendly character by +1 until the end of your turn when it makes a close combat attack. 44 points. That's not bad, but oh well. No one's going to really be thinking about him too much. Also, why does anybody play the Batgirl, the 85-point Batgirl? I know No Man's Land Batgirl is a lot better, but 85-point Batgirl, leap climb and incapacitate and smoke cloud. When she uses incapacitate, she can place a second token on a hit character. The resulting pushing damage can't be ignored. So, you can stun people through willpower, indominate, power cosmic. That's some good stuff. That's some really, really, really good stuff. But yeah, so yeah, the Geoforce shenanigans, whenever that gets fully resolved, it might be some interesting stuff. Now I will say this, I like the number 88-point Batman now. Yes, I don't have a Cape Crusader, and it is the poor man's, Cape Crusader sculpt that you can sort of look at and say, and wonder, oh man, I wonder what I could have had. But I enjoy it. Definitely with his own bat shenanigans. He does make it so you can't have a theme team. But if you use bats, let me rephrase that. If you use bats, but other than that, I think that he's solid. And in the charge flurry world, does he come out on top? Not really. But in the, hey, I need a nice solid secondary attacker. he comes out and shines. Another one that does shine in the whole charge Flurry world is Nightwing, but again, no one plays him. I don't know why, and they don't talk about him. They just don't talk about him. So I don't know. I mean, you've heard most of my analysis for Amazing Spider-Man Streets of Gotham recently, and so I don't really want to jump into that too much. I think after playing against my Scarlet Spider, from the main Amazing Spider-Man set, there's some questions that I have about his adjacent to elevated terrain, or the edge of elevated terrain. What does that mean? Does he have to be on the higher elevation, or can he be on a lower elevation? I don't know. But I had it ruled against me that he could use his little ability on elevation 1 while he's adjacent to elevation 2. So, yeah. Anyway, that's really mostly it. Because, again, I don't want to go back to GSX too much, and I definitely don't want to go back to DC 75th. Because anything that you pull out, it's on its last legs. Not necessarily because it's poor tech, but just for the pure fact that most people are not going to be playing it, and most of the meta has shifted away from what's going on there. But oh well, oh well. Now you might say, "Hey, Dark Logos, wait, man, you got a little bit of time left. You got to give us a little bit more stuff, man. It's only been 40 minutes. It's only been 40 minutes. So what we're going to do is, real quickly, just going to go over some just basic understandings that I've had from the game lately, and see where it goes. So yes, this is Dark Logos Rambles for the next few minutes, and you might say, well, isn't that what you normally do? No, I usually do try to keep it focused, but there are some moments. Some things that I have noticed recently with the gameplay is you can nuke a very deep character down very fast, but that next turn you're sort of boned, which I enjoy that now. So it means if you're on the receiving end of tons of damage, 9 times out of 10 you're going to be able to just say, okay, everything that's left is about to come at you. And I think that is something that is quite refreshing. Definitely in Marvel and DC 10th, it was just like, I shoot you and you're dead. And I shoot this guy and he's dead. Outwit shoots you, and yeah, that's game. But what we saw sort of coming in with the utility belt was that now we have people doing a double power action to get their charge and flurry on. And now it slowed them down, so that whole rush down, I'm trying to get you in turn 2 meta that was going on just died, because people are like, okay, I'm not going to gun you down in turn 2, but turn 3, I'm going to have this big explosion of damage. And so everyone shifted to say, instead of 3, sticks of dynamite, I'm going to go up and I'm going to set up a powder keg, right underneath your foot. So yeah, I could throw 3 sticks of dynamite at you, and I know that'll kill you really quickly. But if my aim is off, or the wick doesn't burn properly, then you have a chance of living. Okay, but if I put a powder keg right underneath your foot, then you're pretty much dead. Okay, so that's the first sort of thinking that we transitioned out of. We are still in a hyper aggro meta, but we are not in hello turn 2, turn 3, I'm dead meta. Now you can say Magog, charge, flurry, all that stuff. If you see Magog, and you see him have the utility belt, pick a map with walls and watch all that charge flurry goodness just sort of go pew. If you have a lot of walls like Death Realm, I'm sorry, your charge flurry from the utility belt combination is now sort of neutered. Plain simple. Yeah, so since we're on charge and flurry, and it's been on my lips pretty frequently, I'm starting to realize that people are looking at charge flurry and forgetting running shot pulse wave. Like, if you really look at what's been going on around us and what people are talking about, it's not running shot pulse wave, which is hilarious because charge and flurry is more risk than running shot pulse wave. And I really am going to try to emphasize that. Why are we ignoring running shot pulse wave? Well, let's go back. All right. Hey, guess what? I can guarantee to hit you for 5 damage. Or I can possibly hit you for 8. I'm assuming damage reduction, people, so that's why. So I would rather possibly hit you for 8 than hit that guaranteed 5. Okay, it's greed. Yeah, let's call it for what it is. It's greed. Okay. When we start looking at characters with running shot and pulse wave on the same click, you're going to start noticing that. Just put it in search in for modern age running shot pulse wave. And just on the same click, not on click one, okay? Just on the same click. What you're going to start to notice is, wow, it's really not a lot. It's really not a lot that we have, but we do have it. It is out there. It does exist. Okay. And I know you're probably also saying like, well, that running shot pulse wave stats on some of those characters are not the greatest. And then I want to use the Infinity Gauntlet if I was going to use running shot pulse wave. But let's look at it. Let's be honest. When's the last time that someone around you played the Infinity Gauntlet? Probably within the last 2 weeks. How did that fare? What did they do? Did they come and running shot pulse wave you at the end of that? No, most likely not. What they most likely did was hypersonic speed run around if they got that far, or their character died. Oh, wow, yeah, my character died. Yeah, I forgot about that. I had a good fight, though. But darn, killing that utility belt user was hard. Yeah, it is. Okay, so that's what you have to be looking at. The other thing that I do find interesting, since we dealing with running shot pulse wave, is that again, why isn't anybody using Sunboy? Doesn't make any sense. Cheap figure, good stable stats. Wild card. I just don't know. Doesn't I guess being older all of a sudden makes you untouchable. You could call it lolicon meta. Lolicon meta. There you go. And for all those people that are under the age of 18, ask your parents about a lolicon and then see if they are willing to tell you. And then don't go and look it up on the internet. Trust me, you don't want to see all that stuff. Anyway, another thing that I've sort of noticed is Spider-Man morphing for my tournament today. A lot of people, find the options interesting. But if you don't know what those options are ahead of time, that dial mechanic can be confusing. And I will say, for all fairness, I played Ricochet and the Prob Spider-Man, the 1A Spider-Man, and I had Dusk on the sideboard, and I had the two other B and C Spider-Mans on there, and Hypersonic Speed Armor Spidey on there. Okay, So with that, I learned a couple things. Even though my opponents today could have turned to any Spider-Man that they wanted to. They pretty much, I started off on Prov Spidey, and they all just pretty much stayed there. They never really did much else. There was only one occasion where a person turned into the Outwit Spidey, but that's it. And what was interesting is that when he turned to Outwit Spidey, I had previously outwitted his prob with my Mole Man, and he turned to Outwit Spidey. He could have just outwitted my outwit on Mole Man. So there's a lot of elements there that I just think that because it's hard. And now, no, please, just letting folks understand, this is the following. The statements are not like a kickback to the people at my venue today, and it's not. It's just in a general analysis. I think for the pure fact that a lot of people see this as hard, with the morph mechanic, we're not going to see a lot of people playing it, and that's sad because it is really strong once you combine a medic. Once you combine a medic into this equation, you can hyperinflate your team. Hyperinflate. Where it becomes even more interesting, if you care to say it like that, is let's say you start on paying for a Spectrum Spidey, and then you do what you need to do, and then you up your point value to I Stand Alone's Armor Spidey, the one that pretty much gives plus stats if there's like no allies within a certain amount of squares. And then you have another Spider-Man on your team that's 75 points, and he goes up through the ranks, and he promotes to Spectrum. He morphs into Spectrum, then he morphs into Spectrum morphs into that same Armor Spidey. So now you have two 125 point Spider-Mans that have plus one stats if there's no allies in range that you have to deal with. How difficult is that? And oh yeah, if things go south, they can retrograde into Dusk or Ricochet or Spectrum Spideys and have 18 defense lead climb super senses or regen or whatever else. Now, no, I will say yes. Is that quite expensive? Yep. But there is nothing restricting you from doing that. And you can fully maximize the sideboard. And now note, people, I haven't even started talking about, hey, adding in AEs into that. So we're at a point now where literally you can bring a stack of cards for your sideboard, and max out your sideboard, and your opponent will be if they're aware of your sideboard, they could be at odds because the amount of flexibility that you have in options becomes insane. Well, let me rephrase it, not becomes insane. It becomes beyond normal comprehension, because now how do you factor in the truth, which is my opponent has the ability to be stealth while having anti-stealth options through the wild card, while also having support powers, while also having super senses, then can turn into a character that regens, then can turn into a character that can shoot and extend the range if there's blocking terrain, then turn into a charge flurry, a charge monster, then turn into a I Stand Alone monster after a period of time, or it turns into this flurry support monster. When the mechanic first came out, I won't say that I was the biggest supporter or cheerleader, but now actually looking at the potential, I actually see like, oh, we have something here. And I really want you to get a good scope of the implications of this tech that I'm bringing out. Imagine that you have 4 probability controllers. Okay, you have 4 probability controllers, 4 awesome probability controllers. Okay, you're playing a 1,000-point game. On the other end of the field is John Constantine. What would you give to turn 3 of those probability controllers into something else? Anything else? What would you give? How many points would you play? Or how many points would you pay to do that? That's the situation we're in now. Okay, I have a medic. My medic can AE into Blizz Thor. Blizz Thor has an effect. My medic can AE into Avengers, Unified Thor. If he's next to an Avenger of higher point value, then he doesn't get KO'd. I can turn him into, in your face Thor. Now I have charge and close combat expert and all this other stuff. Or I have Tony Stark and he turns into this Iron Man that has outwit this other Iron Man that's a ranged combat monster. When it was on a small scale for those 3 minor clicks, we didn't think that was game breaking or game changing or even a big deal. But when we now can say, hey buddy, you see my Spider-Man there? Doesn't do much right now, but in about 4 turns, he's going to be your worst nightmare. So you have a choice. You can try to kill my Spider-Man, or you can fight my big guy. But I'll just let you know straight up, in 4 turns, he's going to turn into your worst nightmare. It doesn't matter what it is. I have the sideboard to do it. So once people start realizing that, we're going to see some develop in the meta, some really good development in the meta. And I know some people will go back and like, this can open up the Beast Boy tech and all this other great jazz. Yeah, it can. I'm not going to front. It could open up the Beast Boy tech. It could open up a whole lot more options for the future for characters that have multiple cool iterations. But I would definitely say, with this current morph mechanic, based on how the chases are priced, maybe, if you can find some of them in a couple of months, and they're a little bit lower after Titans, grab some. Definitely get Ricochet and Dusk. Definitely get Ricochet and Dusk. They're going to be worth it. Double outwit with Ricochet on click 2. Possibility of double outwit. I apologize. Think about that. Hornet has possibility of double perplex on his first click. I think it's on his first click. So bear with me. There are a lot of options here, and I really feel that there's a lot of solid stuff that would come if you actually play around and practice with it. And a medic with those Spider-Mans will allow you to move up the point values easily, and then heal off that damage, and then come wreck face as whatever armor Spider-Man you want to be. All right, that's mostly it. I really appreciate you all listening, this far. Also, a big out to Robert Haynes again for the show idea. If you have any show ideas, email me at startingoverpodcast@gmail.com. That's startingoverpodcast@gmail.com. If you wish to opine, which is give me an opinion, or give me a team idea, or topic matter, or whatever else, that's some good stuff. If you want to know when a show is out and done and on and popping and is fresh off the oven, subscribe to me on Twitter. That's at startoverpod at gmail.com. At startoverpod. Pretty much, that's my Twitter name. Sometimes I put some funny things on Twitter. Sometimes you just get the update from YouTube. If you want to hit subscribe to the YouTube channel, yay! Great, I would appreciate that. If not, that's fine as well. Not going to hate. Not going to celebrate either, but definitely not going to hate. And And let's see, last but not least, check out the Starting Over Podcast blog. That is startingoverpodcast.blogspot.com. And it's a little late right now, so if I got that wrong, the link should be below the video. So check that out. I do have original content. They're usually 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or Saturday. I usually do try to get that up. All right, that's pretty much it. If you have anybody you think I should bring back to the show, let me know, because I would love to get some guests here. Coming into April, mid-April, I probably will have time for some guests. So let me know if there's anybody in particular. Normal View, Alex, George, Dan, Ignis Mouse. Heck, I would try to see if I get Howard Brock again. He has an interesting venture with HC Realms. So let me know. All right. Thanks for listening. And remember, we all have to start over sometime.
I'm into comic books, figures on the wall. She's into looking good, Vicky C's got along. And she loves my flaws, yeah, she's not ashamed. I'm a Peter Parker, she's my Mary Jane. She's my Mary Jane, she's my Mary Jane. She's my Mary Jane, she's my Mary Jane. She's my Mary Jane, she's my Mary Jane. I'm a Peter Parker, she's my Mary Jane. I'm a big nerd around her, but she's cool around me. Never knew how she found me. Electric, but she grounds me. And she loves my flaws, she accepts them all. When the darkness comes, I will get the call. I will swing down the city.